What's good, everybody, man? Y'all know the deal. To the listeners and to the viewers, I'm gonna do this with y'all. I'm gonna count it down this time. I'm not always gonna count it down, but I want y'all to say it with me. Number one, welcome to the Tried and True podcast, where I like to keep it a what? Y'all know the vibe. A buck and all pennies with y'all. Obviously, with myself, I got to keep it real with me, so I can keep it real with you and with my guests. I don't always have guests. Today, I do have one. I want to do my normal check in, let y'all know about the day, let y'all know about the week. But I'm gonna wait so I can do that with my guest here. Also, uh, what I did previously in other seasons past, I would kind of give y'all a rundown of the person before I introduced him. But this person not only does so many things, but means so many things to the culture and to myself. So I'm gonna save what I have to say. I don't want to bottle them or put them in a box of what they do because a lot of times what you do is attached to who you are, which is a whole nother conversation that we may end up having today. But I don't want to do that. This person's identity is so much bigger than what they put their hands to, but what they put their hands to speaks so much to their identity. Yeah, so hopefully y'all enjoyed today's episode. We're gonna have some interesting convo followed by a little quiz at the end. Y'all know how I do. I keep it fun. I keep it light. So I'm gonna do my little quiz at the end. But yeah, Tried and True podcast. I like y'all to give a warm welcome to my dog, who I'm gonna try to. I'm using a new platform, so I'm gonna try to bring bro up on the side here. Give me one sec. Boom, you in? You in? I got you.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you live, my brother. How you doing?
I'm blessed, bro. Can't complain. Can't complain.
Man,
Blessed, black, blessed, and highly favored, like I like to say.
oh man, those are three of the most important things. I love that, bro. If you wouldn't mind, because I actually didn't even tell the people your name, if you could just introduce yourself real quick.
Oh man, I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm a servant leader. I'm a community member, and I go by the name of Mxkobi. Uh, the I is an X because the X is what we always seek to find in problems.
Mm,
And so I try to also call myself a problem solver or someone who seeks to find resolutions to problems. So MIKOBI and the first I is an X. There you go.
mm. I could dig that. Um, Now that it's interesting because I've always wondered about the name. Like, I think for a while I didn't even know how to spell McCoby, bro, because because of the way you swapping out the letters and all that. That's crazy. I gotta do my check-in with you. We haven't talked a lot in recent times, but I gotta do my check-in, man. How you been?
Man, bro, I've been great. I've been great. I think post COVID, it's been a learning curve, right? Reacclimating yourself with the outside, getting back acquainted with the new normal, I guess. But then also kind of just touching base with the foundational pieces of self and things that went dormant for some times. And it's been progress, man. It's been moonlights from where I was last time we talked
Yeah.
regarding certain things. But also it's been a blessed journey. It's been one full of lessons. And I'm taking it by strides, man. But all in all, I've been blessed. I can't complain.
Bro, I could dig that. You mentioned lessons, so I don't obviously and are you in? You travel a lot. Are you currently in Colorado, like right now?
Right now, yes. Right now, I'm based out here.
Okay,
I'm in
because I'm like,
here.
as far as I'm
So
concerned, you a nomad. Like I don't know which time zone. We were trying to set this up. I'm like, I don't even know what time zone bro is gonna be in when I hit him up.
I
But
move around, but yeah, right now, I'm here. I'm in the box, like we like
yeah.
to call it. I'm in the
I only
box.
asked that you had mentioned lessons in the time we're in. You mentioned post COVID. It's just interesting because I moved to the East Coast, so at the time of this, I'm on the East Coast right now. I'll probably be on the East Coast when it comes out, unless I'm doing some traveling myself. This the most traveling I've ever done, I think, in my life. That since I was like a small child, and I've never the furthest I've been on the East Coast is when I moved to the East Coast. So
Mhm.
this is just an interesting time because a lot of lessons are tied to the place you're in. And I just noticed that once I moved here, there were certain things that I felt like were laying dormant. It was like when you scratch when you get the little cologne thing and you scratch it so you can smell it. There was so many lessons that were under that scratch, and me moving and getting uncomfortable, getting out of my zip code was like scratching it. And now I'm receiving so many of the lessons that I feel like yes, maybe I could have learned them before, but there's a lot that's tied to me being in this place in this time, post COVID at this age with these people. It's just like so many things that are specifically tied to that. So it's interesting that you even said that lesson wise. And then you being someone who's well traveled, there's significance to where you put your foot down in the land that you stand on. It's just like before God made people, he made places. You know what I'm saying? So when people get in the right places, certain things just activate.
Hmm.
And so it's just interesting. I'm learning things that I feel like you've probably already encountered as someone who's traveled. You start traveling, sooner than I did like that. Uh,
Yeah, it's a mutual exchange because even as you're saying that, I'm learning, I'm rediscovering things about myself that I think I've been able to experience through travel, and so
mm,
I couldn't agree more with you that yeah, sometimes your environment as a creative or even just as a human being can dictate a bit of like how you perceive the world and the lenses you use to see
mm,
them through. So for me, it's kind of important to occasionally swap the lenses out, right? Go
yeah,
go
facts.
somewhere else and experience different culture, hear about different interactions, um, you know, things that people do and don't do, and so you kind of have a different point of view, really. So just kind of that mentality, and as an eagle in the sky, you definitely have to be able to fly at different heights, but also be able to kind of remove yourself to have a wider point of view. So I think travel has allowed me to kind of have that perspective
Like
of
a
different
God's
people.
eye view.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
exactly, yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah. That's interesting. And I also another thing that I didn't talk to the people about because there's just so many hats that you wear. And no pun intended. Obviously you got, what does that say? Baby goat season?
Baby goat season, yeah.
Baby goat season. All right. Now now I'm gonna reference one of the things you do without giving it away, but did you make that hat?
No, this is
Okay.
actually from a collab I did from some time ago working at Universal Music Group.
Oh,
With
see? So now we're
artist.
getting into what you do and stuff like that. All right, so let me just back up and ask you straight up because I done basically triggered it already. What do you do? What does Mxkobi do? The many things.
Yeah, like I said earlier, man, Mikobi is the name. The first I is an X, and so with that, I'm an X factor. I think that I find myself to be a bit of a chameleonaire, a bit of somebody who can wear multiple hats, and apply myself to be fruitful in those ways. But on that same journey, also on board my people, on board my peers, do it with my friends. But to sum all of that jazz up, I'm a lover of tech. I've been in the tech space for 10 years now, I believe. I'm a lover of music and the expression of arts. I'm a very much so creative being at my core. I am the creative director of MDC Studio, as well as um, supervisor for a few other brands here in the city, and helping kind of curate the the storytelling element of it. So yeah, I'm a bit of an X factor, and I think that God has blessed me to be able to navigate different spaces and avenues and be a testimony in some ways by my work, and I don't take it for granted.
Yeah. You can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody just seen I did a couple of swapping a couple of things around. What I was doing was earlier for the listeners and viewers, y'all don't know this, but I like to be transparent, so I'm gonna put myself out there on Front Street real quick. But what happened was um uh I had the headphones plugged up to my microphone, so I could not hear Mxkobi, but I could hear myself and he could hear me. So I was trying to figure that out. So that's what y'all just see me do, swapping everything around. I like to keep stuff in. There are a lot of content creators out there who come to me for advice, and in the other things I do, most times I will tell them to just follow my content, watch my process because you can see it from the beginning, and you'll learn so much about how to get started. So I have to highlight some of these things and remain transparent because I'm getting a lot of podcasters that are starting to show up and want to know how I do what I do. So that's why I got to leave that in there. So to the folks editing, leave that in there. Okay. So um, what was I gonna say? Oh, so you talk about being an X factor. You talk about the things that you do, and I've been writing a lot. Yeah, I've been writing a lot about adding value. I've been writing a lot about identity related topics and taking a lot of notes on these things. So it's interesting because you're going down a short list of only just some of the things that you've done and some of the areas that you have left an impact. And I have so many different experiences with you that I obviously don't mention, but in the moment, obviously, because you were present, you know the ways that you've added value to me, and I'll be able to tell some of those stories, at least one of them on the podcast today. But there's something to be said about being in a place and becoming the X factor. There's something to be said about, and I promise I don't be trying to get deep because I'm so conversational, but there truly is something to be said about having that Kobe effect sort of on like, or the LeBron effect. No matter which team LeBron goes to, there's one thing we know that's for certain 100% about the season. They're going to the finals. It doesn't, I don't, it's just,
Yeah,
it don't matter if I like them, if I don't like them. It don't matter what the deal structure is. I don't even think it matters how much time the man plays. When he's on a team, they're going to the finals. It's like Virgil. If it's off white, it's gonna sell. It's like I don't, just because it's Virgil, it's going to sell. Period. It's like it has that Nipsey Hussle effect, the marathon effect, where it's like I'm gonna love it if his name's attached to it. I'm gonna feel compassion for it. I'm gonna wanna support it. That's the same way I feel about the things that you put your hands on. But being able to add that value to everything that you do and becoming that X factor, sometimes there's difficulties that comes with. I was just thinking about this earlier today. It's so crazy, and I did. This is something I didn't write down. A lot of times in my life, I have struggled with knowing what I should be doing because of how many things I'm good at doing, and that causes a lot of stress when it comes to a person's assignment. You know, when you talk about a person's assignment in the earth, it can get stressful. You know, when you're good at five things, and let's say you're exceptional at three, but you're trying to figure out what is the one call on my life in this moment. And I don't necessarily want to ask you. There's a question that's budding, and I don't necessarily want to ask you. What is it like being an X factor and being able to add value? I kind of want to ask you what drove you to the place where you got to a point where you decided everything you put your hands on, number one, you want it to be excellent, and number two, you want to provide excellence to others. Because a lot of the things you do, if not everything you do, is centered around servitude.
mm-hmm, hmm Um, I think having a realization of where I come from, remembering where I come from, and knowing that on that journey, I'm supposed to, not supposed to, but I'm utilizing my journey as a way to galvanize the troops, as a way to be relatable, and as a way to inspire others. And like I think Nipsey said it well, right? Like the greatest service you can do to mankind is, is inspire others. And I think I'm
Right.
paraphrasing here, but
Yeah.
that idea, and I think through that idea, I've been able to kind of have the Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen effect, where I can play second fiddle to one of my peers. I can be a cheerleader to a situation. I can assess where my skill sets are necessary, but I can also be the ringleader myself and be able to kind of pull the strings on the back end like
Mm,
Geppetto, and
mm,
kind of have a compelling show for people to watch. And sometimes I think that I've had grievances being aligned with that calling because at times we have personal desires and personal agendas. And I've just learned the greatest way to make God laugh is to make plans without him being involved.
mm,
So in that
mm-hmm.
regard, I think that servitude has been something that allows me to um, enjoy the fruits of my labor, but also be remembering that it is through His grace that I have obtained certain things, and to try to enjoy it with as many people as I can. Um, and I think that through that, I've been able to find some joy in the different things and avenues of things I do.
Yeah. What would you say? It's interesting because I love the perspective that you took, even when you mention, and it's these little things that my ear catches. I don't know why my brain is designed this way, but when you mention finding joy in the things that you do, it's interesting, even the order that you spoke about these things in. You kind of went down a list. It was unspoken, but you were speaking it. You were kind of prioritizing your heart posture. And I'm telling you, I promise you, this is not even what I thought we was going to be talking about today. It's so phenomenal. But you were kind of talking about your heart posture. I just had a
Uh-huh.
conversation on a different podcast. There were two things we were talking about. We were talking about boundaries, and then more specifically, we were discussing the power of no. And I was saying that, yes, while it's not a powerful word, it's a powerful posture to be in. And no is a powerful phrase that can be spoken with no words. And the posture of yes kind of implicates a posture of servitude, to be in a position to accept tasks, to be in a position to take on duties and shoulder responsibilities within organizations. Now let's talk about modern day and make it relatable. We're talking about being within organizations. You talked about also being able to kind of swap out the hats of, do I need to lead? Do I need to be at the head of this project? Is this something that I need to take the reins on? Being able to swap those hats. I can tell you from experience. I can tell everybody listening and viewing from experience. That's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do is swap hats around. And now it doesn't change my heart posture. The toughest thing is that I want to remain in a posture of servitude, which I don't ever come out of. But I also, first of all, I don't mind following instructions and taking direction, because if it's for the greater good, then I don't care. I'll take a back seat to whatever makes the most sense in the moment. That's just how I do. And you know, from dealing with me, like, I come into a space, and if it's not a space that I curated or that I am in control of, it's your world. You tell me where you need me. You tell me how I could be useful. Boom, boom, bam. Even if it's something that even if I created something and delegated the responsibility of delegating responsibilities, I'm taking instructions, even if it's mine. So, for example, with like tried and true, like for the podcast, this is mine. This show is mine. I host the show. I curate the show. The whole thing is mine. People who help me get paid, like it is. It just it's mine. But I delegate certain things, and when it comes to those things, such as the company that helps me to produce the show, which is
Right.
the moving forward right now is digital empathy, and I delegate a certain level of responsibility to them. So there's a person who runs that organization named Leon, and when Leon tells me something or has input about something, I'm taking notes. I'm taking a back seat, and I might have to switch that hat on and off depending on who I'm dealing with, or in one conversation it could be tricky. And I
Right.
think so long as your priorities, my number one priority, first of all, isn't even to enjoy what I'm doing if I started to do it as an act of servitude to the folks, right? This whole platform that I'm doing, it's like, I believe, and we haven't dug too deep into this, but even you, fashion, being you're a person who has harnessed self-expression in a way that is extremely unique. You do it in such a way that allows others to express themselves through things not only that you create, but if they are creating something and you're helping to design it, you are helping them express. And you're able to express through helping design and orchestrate things. But the posture that you're able to take and swapping your hats on and off and on and off, that can be extremely difficult. So obviously that relates to all the stuff I just said with like podcast stuff or even in the music space or whatever. But there's a lot to be said about when you're running down this list of things. If a person's posture is incorrect, then what they produce will also be incorrect. It's going to perish. So I can pretend, all these P's, I can pretend that my posture is correct. But if I'm greedy, if I have hidden motives that are just unethical, or if in the back of my mind, I'm just waiting for an opportunity to take control, my best interest, not the good of the people, even though I'm working with people and pretending that I'm working for people, first of all, it's going to come out. Because like I said earlier, what you put your hands to speaks volumes about your identity, not because of what you do, but because of how you do it. Excellence is a language. Excellence has a sound. Excellence
Right.
has a sound. You could tell, like I could tell, I do anything. You could tell I did it if I did it. You do something, if it's excellent, if something is fire and it's on your Instagram, my first thought is, I bet it was him. I bet it's his. Like if it's dope and you posted it, or I see you somewhere or your name and it's fire, I'm like, I don't know what part he played, but he had his hand on it off top. And if it's something sloppy, you can guess I didn't have nothing to do with anything sloppy. Like something sloppy happened and it come out and it's a thing. I'm telling you, I could write my name on it and say this was me. You're not gonna think it was me. just
Yeah.
off top because it was sloppy. But
Yeah.
that's because when I'm putting my hand to something, first of all, my main goal is not to be put at the forefront of it or be the face of it. It's for it to be done right and done in excellence. But the reason for that is because of my posture, servitude. I'm not going to give the worst of my goods. I'm not going to donate the worst of myself to the people who I say I love or care about. It don't matter what it is. All right. It doesn't matter if I'm cooking a meal or I'm getting dressed or I'm making a podcast or I'm doing public speaking or I'm dropping a song. It doesn't matter what it is. There's a reason why I spend so much time on these things and put my spirit, a spirit of excellence into them. And that speaks about my posture, my identity, just all of these different things that you have even talked about. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Now, I got some very basic questions. You can answer them however you like because it's just a pleasure to hear from you. But
Yes.
I don't know. There's two things I don't know. Number one, I don't know that I ever really understood how you got connected to Universal, and I
Mhm.
also don't know. That's what I'm gonna start with. I don't really know a lot about how you got connected to Universal, um, and you're still working with Universal.
No, I've actually been removed from that position for about, I would say, uh, ooh, wow, this time flies. About 2 years now, almost.
Boom. All
Going on,
right.
going on to 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
What role did that position play in? I want to say maybe what lessons you learned from it, but what role do those lessons play in what you're currently doing?
So how did I get there? I guess I could start there. A deep, deep love for music and wanting to share sounds, and also from just traveling and exploring all these different places, you acquire different sounds, different music, different ways of how it's presented. And at my time, being a student at Metro State University, I was granted an opportunity to run radio show at the time with a peer of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and for some personal reasons, he had to remove himself from the show and handle some personal matters. So a baby that we were raising essentially became my child, and I
I was
had
around
to,
during that time.
yes, and I had the pleasure to have you on the show, and
I
from
still got
there,
pictures from then. I still got
yeah,
photos.
we're still, yeah, yeah. And I think if I dig around long enough, I could probably find our show. It was
I have
all.
it,
You have it. I did
bro.
send you
I
that.
almost deleted it the other day from my phone because I took it like a side, like a little video. It's like
Uh-huh.
40 minutes, and I was like, I can't because I don't know if it's anywhere else. I can't delete it yet.
Oh man, man, I may need that for the
I'm
archive
glad
for
I
sure.
didn't delete it. I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah.
No, 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 absolutely. Those
So
are
I
those.
never knew what happened with the show either. Yeah, that's interesting. I never understood the transition out or how things changed.
Yeah, so the gradual evolution of things. At the time when I was onboarded for that show, a peer of mine was doing a show at Metro as well as being a marketing rep for Universal Music Group, and I always wanted to just evolve and grow and put on a mantle for the city and be able to, kind of stick my neck out there and say, yeah, I'm a kid from Democratic Republic of Congo, but I live in Colorado now, and I'm putting on for the city and just trying to in that regard. And when the opportunity came about, I took it and ran with it. I was granted to work with some of the biggest names, it, from Two Chains, Migos, Ariana Grande. And we did everything from marketing initiatives to ideation to working with big and small businesses and setting up unique experiences surrounded, mainly around music and whatever the act may be presenting at the time. And that evolution of time and space was great. And I think what I was able to um, derive from that time is working on these different time zones, right? Working with short windows of opportunity to complete a certain task and being able to still get it done, being able to extremely think outside the box because nothing in the music industry is kind of new. Everything has almost been done before. And then always, I think the biggest thing I've learned is how to create a compelling spectacle,
How to
and
create a
to get,
compelling spectacle.
yes, how to create a compelling spectacle to have eyes on you. And like I stated earlier, sometimes you can do so by dangling something shiny in front of people, or sometimes you can be Geppetto and create
Mm,
something on the back end where you are in full control, but you are not the main face of. And I think being able to navigate some of those spaces allowed me to learn a lot, but also put on for the city. I mean, you and I got the pleasure to host a music festival at Regis
it
University
was
at some
great.
point, and you were one
Such
of
a
the
dope
headliners
experience.
for that show. So yeah, I mean, many times and many experiences that I think going back to it, I I was blessed and positioned to be in those spaces for the people and to do for the people, and so I
Mm.
always took it upon myself to challenge myself to do so.
Yeah, and you mentioned that that was such a dope experience at Regis. And you're since you're hearing my audio, do I sound good?
You good?
Okay, I
You
just changed one other thing, and I think I got it. Boom. All right. Hopefully, this doesn't cause too much trouble when we edit it. So, but anyway, yeah, you mentioned that that festival, man, that was so dope. First of all, I already thank you for that experience, but bruh, that was such an amazing experience. The connections that I was able to make, the way that you curated that space seemed like you were not only serving the folks that came to be entertained, but the people who came to entertain. The way that you set everything up was so accommodating in a way that made sense. That it and this is what I was talking about earlier. It inspired other people. The sacrifices that you were making to curate a space and the way that you were putting your hand to the brand inspired us when we left there. Conversations I even had inspired us when we left there to put our hand to things differently and to move. It's like you brought a certain fire and then we caught fire because of it. You also just now you was talking some of that brand and marketing talk just a minute ago. Um,
hmm
and I don't do every once in a while I sprinkle some of that on the people. Some people understand it, some people don't. But when you were talking about how to create a compelling spectacle, right? You some of the things that are mixing here, these undertones that are mixing these flavors, so to speak, are we're talking about servitude. We're talking about a brand and a mission that actually makes sense and some things that matter. But we're also discussing the branding and marketing behind it. We are talking about how to bring attention and hold attention on things that make sense and matter, kind of as a whole. And
hmm
when you start mixing those things, and when you talk about content creation, when you mix entertainment and you mix that the content creation, the substantial things, that's when you get edutainment. It's like this edutainment wave that kind of happening and sweeping over, but it's things obviously that we've been on for a long time, for years, even as you just mentioned. What we were doing and what the space that you curated there was one that was allowing us to edutain, was to educate folks, keep people in the loop, celebrate important Black milestones, and then also entertain everybody and create something fun and enjoyable, not just for the people being entertained, but for the entertainers as well and the curator. Hopefully, you enjoyed it because I had a blast. It was fun. I got pictures from that day still. I remember the conversations. I found out this fool Trace could really play the piano that day. I had no clue. And so I was standing there, I was rapping one of my verses, and he was playing something on the piano. And I said, and that was before everything even started. But
Right.
that was a space that you brought together, and it just I don't know. It kind of that's proof of a lot of things you're saying. That folks are not, they can't rewind and go and be there, but that's proof of a lot of things that you're even talking about. So moving, and I don't necessarily want to say moving forward, but things that I'm very curious about things that you currently have going on and things in the near future because I kind of want to pick apart some things like the clothing. If you don't, I don't know if we can, if you're
Yeah,
okay
yeah,
publicly picking apart this stuff.
yeah. We can dive into some of that. Man, MDC Studio, really conceptually is I think a residual effect of a long-lived journey, a residual effect of coming from where I come from, and a bit of a beat of a beat we can all dance to, a bit like coming from the drums of my ancestors, if that makes
MDC,
sense.
you say?
Yeah, MDC Studio.
MDC Studio.
Mxkobi design and concept, and obviously I'm head spearing a lot of the ideas, but the blueprint of it is a village mentality, um, and focusing on luxury experiences. And to really clarify, luxury is not of monetary gains. It's not of monetary possessions or items. It's really about, first things first for me, a village mentality, right? Living within the luxury of your village, living within the resources that your village can provide. That right there is already the start of of luxury. I
I'm
think
glad you
that,
mentioned that. I gotta
yeah,
say something about that, but yes, I'm with you.
yeah, and so the importance for me was like, well, one, what are my whys and how do I convey these whys with people? And so coming from a Bantu culture, which is my tribe out of Africa, we have a village mentality. We have a way to share even the smallest things we have with each other. And part of my journey and part of these dreams we all have as creatives, I wanted to share this experience. I wanted to take people on board through storytelling, through a higher level of viewing certain things and considering that luxury on its own way. And then also be able to take a bit of that as a philanthropic way to tell stories and give back.
Mm.
And so at this current pace now, I'm honored and blessed to even be able to share with you that come this fall and winter, November 15th, I'll be showing my first collection
Give
at
it to us, bro. You know that's what I needed to find. I was just waiting. Is he going to give me some dates?
I'll be showing my first collection at Denver Fashion Week. It's an
Congratulations.
thank you so much. It's an
Huge.
honor, pleasure. We got some beautiful faces representing all walks of life: black, brown, um, white, tall, short, you name it, I have it. And I really just want to remind people that this village mentality kind of starts from within and being able to galvanize people. And that's really what this brand is about. And, creating a compelling spectacle while doing so and sharing some necessary pieces with the people.
Yeah, man, I'm so glad you dropped a date on that. But and I can't wait. And I can't wait. And I can't wait. Obviously, we keep bringing up fashion and one of
Yeah.
the and you mentioned luxury. Obviously, the fashion world and luxury culture are deeply intertwined. And I've been having
Mhm.
it's so interesting that you mentioned that. I've been having conversations surrounding luxury. What is luxury? What role does it play? Um, excuse me, where was it birthed out of culturally, and how has it negatively affected our mentality as Americans and African Americans in this country? And it's interesting because you mentioned so many things and kind of gave somewhat of a breakdown of first of all, you gave a breakdown of where your tribe mentality comes from. Number one, you talked about being able to share and take part all
Mhm.
around that village mentality. I say tribe because I had tribal haven, so it's like stuck in my
Yeah.
mind. Tribe, I got my tribe. But the village mentality, and obviously everyone believes that like things take a village when it comes to like children or when they need something. Then when you need something, then it takes a village. But when you got something that you want or something that even you believe may be scarce, all of a sudden it don't take a village. All of a sudden it's just you. And that's so fascinating to me. The scarcity mindset. And there's something about the scarcity mindset that has created a toxic cloud surrounding the term luxury.
Mhm.
And I have somewhere along my journey broken the scarcity mindset, but and I can't necessarily pinpoint exactly when that was. I just know that something in my mind clicked when I had very little, that I had more than necessary. Something just clicked inside of me, inside of my spirit and my soul and my thought process. Something transformed into this. My vision was broken open and I saw so much. It was like I'm not colorblind, so I can't even make. I was gonna say it was like if you were colorblind and all of a sudden you get all the palettes, but it's like when you're looking at your Instagram picture through a black and white filter, and then you swap it out, and all the colors just pop. I was able to see everything that I couldn't see, and there was once so little, and my perspective changed, and that scarcity mindset broke. There was infinite resource for me to draw from. Infinite resource. Even with money, I started to look at it like this thing that flows through me instead of this thing that stops at me and this thing that I have
Yes.
to go get. It became
Yeah.
this thing that just flowed from everywhere that I could raise my hand and I could live a certain way and it would find my hand. and I can
Yeah.
present a certain thing and live at a certain standard, and it'll find my hand. So when we
Yeah, I'm a firm
discuss,
believer. I'm a firm believer at that. I'm a firm believer that, blessings are supposed to flow through you, not
yes,
stop at you. And so the more you can let those things flow, the quicker they come back to you.
hmm
Because there's an element, there are certain elements of nature, whether you are a believer of God or not, you cannot trump them. That they are set in stone. They were here before us and they'll be here after
and
us.
I'll be here
Um,
after this.
and for me, I think that being able to redefine what luxury looks like for me too is knowing that I can share those fun moments of having with my people.
And that
And having
exactly.
the having is not of monetary items or anything, but it's more so the fellowship, it's the camaraderie, it's those long lasting laughs where at some point you pause and you're like, wait, what are we laughing about? And you don't know, but it's just
Mm.
that, to me, is being able to afford those moments. And however we get there as a community, as a tribe, I think that is what is important, and that allows us to experience those things fully. There's no fun in being on a private jet by yourself.
By yourself, by yourself, by
There's
yourself.
no,
It
there's no fun to going to Jamaica, such a beautiful place, by yourself.
and no one to share it with. And that's
Right.
it's interesting because you just detailed the next iteration of what I was about to get at. It was like kind of like you were reading my mind a little bit there. That's wild. But the where I find where my uniqueness can thrive, because some people, now first of all, when you can detach yourself from that scarcity mindset, it doesn't automatically mean, like I said before, my standard of living and the things that I like, the way that I wanted to live didn't change. It was a perspective shift. So there are certain luxuries that you want to be able to afford with others. You want them to be able to afford those luxuries, sharing laughter, genuine laughter, experiencing love in all its different levels with everyone, friendships, romantic relationships, and from strangers. I mean, it's just certain freedom, the freedom to be and exist as you are, show up authentically as who you are. These are the luxuries that we would like to be able to afford and afford for others if we could, but we like others to be able to afford those luxuries with us. What I figured out was that I learned I don't place value on like the material things, but I do place so much value on uniqueness, the uniqueness of myself, my thoughts, and that of others as well. I place so much value on people's uniqueness. So I still place so much value on my ability to put together a fly fit. I still place so much value on when I put on a hat with a shirt combo, and then it's like has something to do with the shoe, and then it's just this way that I'm expressing myself uniquely to the people who I enjoy. And if they can enjoy that with me, but then I want them to be able to express themselves in a certain unique way as well. Or when I jump on a song and like I'm not like trying to murder everybody with my verse. I'm like, no, this verse is perfect with who I am and who I'm speaking to. But you got the second one, and I also want you to be able to da 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 da. So even talking about the clothing, discussing this luxury mindset, breaking the scarcity mentality. It takes a village, being able to share and enjoy everyone's expression and take part in these things. When we're discussing the clothing brand and the show, number one, again, I'm grateful that you're just doing. What was the date on it? Say it one more time, because there's another show.
November 15th.
All
Yes,
right, because
sir.
there's another show coming up, and it might be. I don't think I heard about it from anyone else, but
Oh, yeah, you're doing your homework really well. So,
okay.
uh, and that goes back to the multiple hats. So obviously, owner of a brand and showcasing those talents for the first time. But I'm also walking for Color of Fashion, which is uh, which was set up essentially by
Now
these
you
two
said you're
beautiful.
walking.
Yes,
You putting that
yes, I am.
model hat on.
Yes, I'm
Bro,
putting
you
my
one of the
model.
coldest models I've ever seen. Let me stop real quick and give you your flowers. You every time you post, it don't you could be wearing anything, any type of look. I'm looking at it, I'm getting inspired. Bro, you are one of the coldest. You got one of the best like looks, your sense of style. And I don't say this a lot. Just like I said, I value uniqueness. I value my uniqueness and my sense of fashion. I really take pride in that. Bro, when I tell you you like real recognize real, like great recognize great, bro. Your fashion sense and the way that you like present these looks is out of this world. So whoever you're walking for, I hope they know that they are genuinely blessed to have you on the roster for real.
It's for real, a humble pleasure, and then I'll tell you why. Because I am not any better than any other kid from Democratic Republic of Congo. I was just blessed to be in this position. And with that blessing comes, heavy's the head that wears a crown, right?
Mm,
And so some nights I tilt a little to the side because I'm like, oh man, a lot of responsibility lie on my shoulders, to not only represent from where I come from, but to also inspire in any room that I walk in, to speak life into some people's dreams sometimes, because I think that people see you do things and they view it as, well, that's so easy for him. And I think I try to make myself as relatable as possible to be like, honestly, if I can do it, you can, but you have to walk by faith, not by
mm,
sight,
mm,
and enter action with boldness, kind of just, what do you got to lose, right? You don't want to wake up saying, I shoulda, coulda, would have.
mhm,
So wake up doing, wake up
mhm.
putting action, wake up putting motion. The conversations you have a lot of time dictates the places you'll find yourself 2 or 3 years
Bro,
down the
say
road.
that loud for the people in the back. Your
It's
level of conversation,
Yeah, it's important. So I really appreciate your compliment. I humbly do. But
bro.
yeah,
It's a
it's a
fact.
reminder. It's a reminder of the whys. I show up a certain way because I know I get to break the monotony of certain things. But once I get to open my mouth, I try to make sure to share something that is valuable and of substance to some degree.
Where does that come from? You continue to mention your roots. You continue to mention the start of these different things and where you come from. But there's a specific type of creative bone in your body, specifically. Where where everyone, and this is the thing, I was talking to asking you, but there's a specific type of creative bone in your body. And I was
Yes.
talking to Little Fresh Sam recently, and when I was talking to Sam, we were kind of discussing, and she was like, I never actually thought of that. Why did I choose the fashion of all the different things I could have chose, as like the way that I was going to cultivate these different things and express these things. You've also played a big role, obviously. We talked about like people's music careers and things like that, and just I don't know, the different roles that you play. There's a specific emphasis that's placed on fashion, and as you discuss your roots and things like that, why is that the choice?
Yeah, my roots is partially because my mom always reminded me to remember where I came from. I think that when you travel the world, you explore different things and stuff, your blueprint is always going to be there, but there are newer layers that are added to it. And to be
Mm-hmm.
uh, cognizant of that requires you to also have self-awareness on how those new elements can sway you in different ways. And some can be good, some can be bad, but if you remember the grassroots of it, you can usually kind of have discernment as years come by, as you grow older, to pick and choose what is good, right? A few times we call certain things culture,
Mm,
and in the Heartbeat Part 5, Kendrick did a great job of like breaking down like what is culture? What are some of
mm,
these things that we call culture that we've held on to that are actually really terrible practices? So in that same sense, yeah, recognizing where I come from, uh, taking in the worldly, newer ways of doing things, and being able to apply a blueprint that has a foundational essence to my existence, to my people, to the reason why I'm here, and to the reason why I think fashion has been a piece is it's pretty layered, but I'd say the first layer is, an introduction of it came from my mom at a young age. I would be in my room playing video games, and before we would go to church Sunday, Saturday night, she'll walk in my room and kind of show me her different looks and stuff, and
mm.
I'll curate the whole look. I'll be like, "Hey, mom, swap that sweater for this.
Oh, that's
Use
interesting.
those shoes." And I was doing this at 8, 9, 10 years old, to the point where times when she would go shopping, she would drag me in the stores and I'll see all the shoes, and I'm like, nah, that ain't it. Do that. But then as I got older, I went to a private Catholic school as well in my upbringing. So I always wanted to be able to express myself, and self-expression, I think, gets stifled a lot um, during teenage years. Sometimes we get the opportunity to express it. Some of us don't. So a multitude of those things, I think, drove me to some of those choices. But as of today, I was actually just exploring that with my mom, and I think that um, she asked me a pivotal question, and she was like, "Well, with all the things you are doing, are you sure that you are also doing things that are in alignment with God and what He wants you to do?"
Briefly
And,
mentioned that earlier. So interesting. You said that was
and
today?
yes,
That's so funny that is so interesting. Okay.
that was absolutely
That's been
today.
on my mind all day. That's
And
wild. Okay.
the first thing that kept popping up in my head, not as a way to respond, but more so as like a way to peel back layers with her and explore, was that I found myself in that position of servitude, which is the word you used earlier.
Mm,
Um, and that all the things that I was doing were through His blessing, but also put me in a position to be a testimony, to be um, a source of inspiration.
mm,
And I've never really taken it in until this past year, and talking to some peers
mm,
and being told that I spoke with so much uh, belief in what I said, with so much emphasis on being able to get it done, that it inspired them, but it was also sometimes intimidating because they weren't in that same position. And so realizing that, I asked God to give me the words to be able to speak loudly when need to,
mm.
and to know when to be soft when need to. And I think being a servant leader and being in that position, going back again, you have to know how to wear the multiple hats,
Right.
right? Am I leading strongly right now, or am I doing it with love and care and affection? And how do I balance the both? And I think that the great leaders know how to do both. It's
Yeah,
important.
you said something important there, and you mentioned that the things can be intimidating. Stars are not as intimidating from far away as they are when you're interrogating the sun. When you're getting closer and you're leaving the atmosphere and you're approaching this ball of fire, that can be very power, wisdom, authenticity, excellence. It is intimidating, and it is intimidating to things that are not able to live within those spaces. I have my sister is learning new things about me, and I want to say this. A ruby, golden, emerald studded crown is a lot more intimidating than an LA ball cap. It's a lot more intimidating. It says a
Right.
lot more, and the cap like can say a lot, but there's a lot more being said by the
Depending on what side of LA you're on, that LA cap might
that's
have a bit.
that's why I had to throw that in there. It says a lot.
Right.
It says a
Right.
lot. It says a
Right.
lot. Every hat, well, depending on where you're at in California, every single hat says a lot.
Right. You
But
may not wear that Astros hat so
yeah,
loosely.
yeah.
You see
So
what
it's a
I'm
whole lot of
saying?
you be careful with a couple of those teams.
Right. Right. Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But express yourself openly, brother. But
Batting for the wrong team.
right. That's a good way to say it. That's a great way to say it. You could end up batting for the wrong team, and you don't even know which teams are playing.
They'll just pull up and ask you, "Hey, where you from?"
All right, and be careful with that vernacular, brother.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But no, there's something to be said about that. So there is something that I was talking to my sister about. And my sister's someone I'm extremely close to, but she's learning a lot about me. And I ain't gonna hold you for too much longer, especially on this topic. But I do want to say this because you had mentioned it, and you're mentioning a lot of things that have been on my heart, real heavy, over the past couple of weeks, conversations I've been having and such. But there's some important things that have been learned about me that people didn't know in the past. For example, there are things that cannot live around me because my spirit will sniff them out and do away with them. You know, there's certain things, there's certain mentalities, and there's certain ways of life that I don't do well around because there's a spirit man in me, and I'm learning more about his preferences. I'm learning more about his personality. As the more I deal with my spirit man and walk in my spirit man's desires in this life, the more my spirit man comes out and expresses himself in scenarios. And as I learn that, there are scenarios that I'm in with certain people. There's people who I have mentored, people who I coach, people who come to me for advice, or people who just watch me from a distance. But I'm starting to learn that there are some who come close to me and then they get surprised at the way that I react to certain things. Maybe things that they do, or the way that I react to other people around me, right? There's ways that I react to things that they bring to me that maybe these people who are observing me, they didn't realize that the energy and the heat from the sun is actually hot, and
Mm-hmm.
it actually it's not facade, right? It's not like the stars and the wraith. It's actually the sun. This is a star up close, and some people are they're on their way, they're not as refined, and so as they become more refined by that heat and that fire and those beams, it can be intimidating. But as they are refined, as they're put under pressure, under heat, as they're cut, as they go through this diamond process, they find that they have the same diamond toughness, diamond cut, and they have the same it's like a
Characteristics.
version of their identity. It's an iteration of themselves that they have
Yeah.
within them, right? It's not that I'm peculiar. It's not that I'm trying to intimidate folks. It's just that certain things can't live around me. There's certain things that just they're not able to breathe in this atmosphere, and certain things thrive. There are people out there, and I'm talking to the viewers and the listeners. There's people who y'all are around, people who y'all admire, and they something about them is a bit intimidating, but you don't want to move away from them because you know that there's something about them that you need to stay around. What you need to do is interrogate what it is about them that potentially makes you uncomfortable, but you admire it. Find out what that thing is and nurture it within yourself. There are some important things that your mother nurtured within you. And she helped you to discover more of the vehicle that you were going to use to express your identity, but also the nature of what you all were doing together when it came down to some of the decision making. When it came down to some of this decision making as it related to the way that I brand and express myself to the world, there's something about that that helps a child nurture a certain type of spirit. There's a level of thought process that is required for wise decision making. And if you can, the way that you choose to brand and express things or people speaks volumes about the way that you choose things in general and your level of decision making in your life. That's just one thing that can show it. That's just one way. And I'm speaking about you in particular. There are people who are intimidated that need to be intimidated. And
For
the
sure.
plight of a leader is heavy as my head. So there's certain levels of pressure that I understand and can walk in. I walk in it every day. But they just got in the hyperbolic time chamber. They just got in there. So I gotta cut them a little bit of slack. I gotta pray and I gotta meditate to find out, am I speaking their language, or are they uncomfortable because I'm speaking my language to them and it's just a lot? Is it a lot?
Yeah.
And is it a lot that is necessary? Because sometimes, and I don't want to say like, you might not be grooming someone on purpose, but they might be using you to rub themselves on and groom themselves. So sometimes they need to be made uncomfortable. They need to feel that pressure, and they need it to be intimidating, and they need to stick around. So it's
Yeah.
interesting that you have brought that up because a lot of what people have been learning about me lately is Instagram only shows you so much about me. Facebook only shows you so much about me. It's different. You spend 24 hours with me and you will not be the same. You won't think the same. And it's not because I'm going to do something to try to make you that way, but there's pressure. It's a spiritual pressure, and heavy is my head. And if you get up under that crown, you're going to feel the pressure as well, or you'll realize real recognize real. So if you walk with that crown like you, ecosystems are designed to be reciprocal. So we can feel when a relationship is reciprocal, even when we can't identify the reason why.
Yeah.
So that's just I felt like I wanted to say that because that speaks to the way that you answered my question was surrounded by this thing was nurtured in a very particular way that worked. First of all, it worked. So shout out to moms,
Yeah,
um,
shout out to
and shout
moms.
out to you for being, receptive to what picking up what moms was putting down. Shout out to you for that as well, even as a kid. Um, but yeah, and also speaking to that intimidation piece and that power piece where you have the proper intention, so you choose to pray and meditate and make sure that you're adding value to folks and not breaking down a relationship by causing too much pressure or intimidation. You have the wisdom to actually care about the way you come off to make sure it's beneficial, and that the sun is not burning the crops.
Hmm. Yeah.
So just speaking to that, I thought that was fascinating. I don't know that I was going so much specific with that, but hopefully people picked up one of them, one piece of jewelry on this
Yeah,
being.
and I think one of the key pieces to what you just shared right now too is just it's uh knowing how to dose it, knowing how to put the medicine in the food. And sometimes it
That's good.
it requires a different way and a different approach. I always like to put at it from a standpoint of like, okay, if you are a coach in a locker room and you take the same approach time and time again, and every Sunday you go out there and you get your ass whooped, well, it may not just necessarily be the personnel, it may be your delivery of the message that isn't good.
Mm,
Or you may need to get somebody who is part of the nucleus of that team to come speak on your behalf so that the team at its core feel that there is somebody who's in the trenches with them, understanding what that looks and feels like.
that loops
And
back into
sometimes
what you were saying earlier.
yeah, and then just again being able to wear these different hats. I think that for moments where I've been told that I came off as intimidating, I try to remove myself from the perceived high horse somebody may see me from, and like be a level field with them and be like, okay, well, what are some projects, things, and X, Y, and Z that you'd like to accomplish? What's a time window? What can I do right now to align myself to be there with you, so that when you are on that journey, when you are running that 400-meter dash and you get at about 350, and for anybody who's ran track, you know that 250 to 300 is crazy. That coach who stands on
You
that
ran track.
corner with, yes, I did.
See,
I
there
did.
we go. You just.
I did. That coach that stands right there at that 250 to 300 mark means a lot, because he's the person who's helping you to remind that at any given moment when you're ready to just think you can't make it, I'll be there cross. And usually a good coach will run that last 100-meter with you, right? Like on the sideline.
That's
Come on,
good.
you got it. So taking that
Mm,
mentality, I think, has allowed me sometimes to be able to stand behind someone as their backbone, to
mm,
stand behind someone as a way to be, yo, I know I'm not saying trust fall, but if you fall, I got you. To
mm.
say, hey, if you need a resource, if you need somebody to think for your business as if it was theirs, I got you. And throughout those years, I've had hardships, I've had breakups, I've had nights where I stayed up late thinking about how I could be better at this. And I think that by design and concept, uh, I just put my name in the front of it and it became MDC Studio. And the studio piece is really the element where it's a home. It's a home for creatives.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
was gonna
home
say,
for
where does that come in? Yeah.
yeah. The studio piece is really a way to give um my fashion essence and how I show up, to give a room for other people to be part of,
Mm.
right? So with this vision, I'm not the only one curating the details of it. There's a team of makeup artists. There's somebody, a very special woman working alongside of me on this project. There's all the models, and so the element of adding studio to it, which is spelled STXDIO, again with the X,
On
is
brand.
allowing people, yeah, is allowing people to now become the X factor in their own environment, and to kind of build. I mean, it's funny. Jay-Z said it right. How many billionaires can you count from my family tree,
Yeah.
right? So those people who have kind of laid that type of blueprint, that's what you want to emulate. So I want to be able to 10, 15, 20 years from down the road, being able to say, how many how many fly X, Y, and Z, how many tech people, how many X, Y, and Z do you know comes from my family tree,
Right.
right? That's my tribe, and then being able to feed each other and give back and stuff. That's the goal.
Yeah, it's interesting you even brought that up. There's some financial experts I follow, and one of them mentioned that a lot of people think that the goal or the milestone to reach is to make yourself a millionaire. But he said that the way that he moved business wise completely changed when he started to think, how many other people can I provide like the tools and the transformation it takes to gain financial freedom? So it's like, yes, how many millionaires have you made? Not how many millions have you made, but even deeper than that, like it's about becoming free. And even what you just mentioned, like how many of these people who are free to express and live and bold enough to be themselves can spawn from your tree? That's just, I mean, I don't know, that's phenomenal. That's just phenomenal, and that speaks to a certain level of leadership that I think is too rare. I think that is common in folk that are rarely willing to walk in it. That's what I think, and I think you're one of the few. Yeah, I think you're one of the few. That's great.
Yeah,
I am, I love the concept and the idea and the execution of it all that I am seeing. I don't have like a graphic that I can put up or anything like that, but the execution of this whole these are deeper than concepts. These are much deeper than concepts. I think that obviously they're concepts, but you are birthing these things and just being able to watch it happen live, just myself as somebody who's just viewing it
yeah,
is just, it's an honor. It's like, I don't want to say watching a baby's birth because some people that grosses them out. But let's just say it's like watching a butterfly, the process from the beginning,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
egg,
yeah. From
larva,
the cocoon to
the
yeah,
chrysalis, you got the cocoon, and you got when the wings first break out and they have to dry a little bit and they wave, and then you got the flight. And watching that process is just like there's proof in the pudding and there's proof in the eating of the pudding, because there's a reason why people gravitate toward you, because the pudding is there, but then there's proof that the pudding works, because you got folks that are gravitating from you and already people that are being born of your tree, whether they want to say it or not.
yeah,
you know
yeah, yeah.
and
And
I think
I
that's
think
phenomenal.
yeah, and I think that the at the end of the day, because eyes are on me for fashion, I'm only using it as a vehicle for bigger and better things.
Mm,
Um, the uh, the 5 to 10 year plan from here is really to be heavily ingrained in NGOs and being able to give back. You really give back to the communities I come from, and so if I can create that pipeline of, and again, right, redefining luxury for me, it's like, okay, well, the education is what gives me luxury. The education is what gave me the opportunity to navigate certain times and spaces. Um, the knowing of certain elements is what gave me the luxury to be able to think a certain way. I can afford to think a
right.
certain way. It's
Mm,
not about the clothing that I wear. It's not about the food that I eat. It's not about the places I go. It's about what's up here and being able to afford to
mm,
use what's up here. That's the luxury that I want to like kind of bring forth to people, is like being able to live within the means of your dreams. If you want to do a t-shirt company, start off with 20 bucks and try
mm,
to flip a t-shirt or two, and then hang with a homie who might be dope at graphic design and click up with him. And
mm,
there's unity in numbers. And so not only is that a pivotal thing about this, but also being able to then navigate to the next phase of it, which is an NGO. And I have a name. I'm looking forward to being able to build that up, but also being able to go back in Congo, to Africa, to different places of the world, and tell those stories and bring an essence to fashion while collaborating with the locals,
mm.
while giving back to that community. And
Because it
I'm a
doesn't have
firm.
to be one or the other. It can be both.
Exactly, exactly. It
Right.
does not. It does not have to be one or the other. You can do sustainable things with other people. You can elaborate on other things with other people. You can even put yourself at the availability of others' dreams, and how to help them navigate that and give opportunities in that way. So I pray to God that I'm granted the opportunities to do so, the wisdom to do so,
Mm,
and that that is I think where where some of my lifelong missions lie. It's
Break down
creating.
NGO for people who are not familiar. What is an NGO?
What do the letters stand for again? A
I don't
non-profit organization, or is that right? I think something like that.
I can't
Something along.
correct you because I don't know. I don't like have
I
a
am
deep
terrible with
understanding.
I am
Bro,
terrible with names.
I couldn't tell you how long I owned my LLC before I learned what the word, like what the letters actually stood for.
Oh no, I mean I was joking, but an NGO stands for nonprofit organization. So basically, being able to source funds for projects in different ways, shapes, and forms. And one of the biggest things is education. And I think education doesn't just lie within books. Education sometimes lie within conversations,
Yeah.
within setting up environments where you can even feel safe to learn and to study and
It's
to
like you said earlier. It's interesting you said that now. Is you had mentioned earlier something along the line, and you didn't say it this way, but what you were saying was being a living epistle. Basically, you being the walking source of the information or the example that people need. A conversation with the person that has it within them will release it to the person who's trying to have to get the information, and you can learn a lot from another person's experiences. Now, obviously, it's 2022, so everything is and in 2023, everything somewhere, somehow, something, everything's probably written down somewhere. But being a
right,
person who is able to walk around, touch the people, there are people who might not read or might not follow you on Instagram or might not have like a Facebook page or watch the YouTube, but being able and being willing to go back to the communities you're from, touch the people, and don't just give them a slice of your pie, but create a pie with them that belongs to everybody, that
right,
serves them,
right.
that serves the community, of the community, serving the community. That's something that can sometimes make a bigger impact than just you know giving a person a step by step on how to do something. Being able to
Absolutely.
walk with you and talk with you has at the level, I mean, it's, I don't even know if it's quantifiable, the impact that that can have.
And I think I've recognized that in some of our. I would like to even go further and deeper and just be black nepotism.
Mm,
A part of it, I think, is very much so something that I believe in. We don't often get the opportunity to fail forward. We always fail backwards, and
yes.
when we are forced to fail backwards, a lot of times we then now have an even bigger uphill battle. And so even with even with the brand and even with the things I'm doing, I hope to create a space where people that look like me, brown and black folks, can fail forward. You can fail into a great position and be able to change the course of your family, and being able to break generational curses for whatever that may be,
Mm,
whether it's through a conversation of therapy, whether it's through you creating a groundbreaking design. Um, I really wish for my people to be able to fail forward
yeah.
and being able to kind of rely on the ability to learn on the whim and to be able to be human, make a mistake, and be able to be granted the ability to pick themselves back up and try again.
Yeah, and safe spaces, and it's so you said something important there that the black and brown communities, and I'm going to speak directly to black people all over the world. Like you said, often we don't have the luxury of being able to essentially practice. It's almost
Right,
like we are thrusted into the finals. It's like it's game time, and it's not just game time; it's always the championship. So
right,
being someone who has right, so being a person who has built you have designed a lifestyle that allows you to fail forward and try things, and you are now working on ways to provide that to other people who look and even live like you did but look like how you are now. And other black and brown folks deserve the opportunity to try and fail and learn and try and fail and learn. There's other cultures that get to swim in the kiddie pool when they learn, and for us it's like we in the Nile. We with the crocodiles, like we in the bottom of the sea with the giant squid. Like we
right.
don't have time to learn to swim. It's like you
I
have
mean,
to. It's go
for a
to
lot of us, the journey started across the ocean, right? Not in a kiddie pool.
not in it. Ooh, hey,
Don't let that fly over your head, right? A
right.
lot. a lot of us, there's a residual effect of that. So
Exactly.
the sink or swim mentality is very much so in full swinging mode when we start this journey. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's important to be able to yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to be able to inspire a kid that looks like me. Some black young black kid out there who may be going through a struggle or who may be dealing with something that is or seems bigger than themselves in the moment. Just realize that you have that X factor within you that can change so much around you, so many people, inspire so many. So just finding a way to be the spark for that, to be the glitch within that matrix when they're viewing at things the same way over and over, to be that thing that makes them go, wait a
Love that.
second, what is that? No, let's go back to that code. Like, let's reread
Mm,
that and analyze why that happened. Why did that man who doesn't know me looked at me and say, "Hey, you can be the next greatest model coming out of Denver," and gave me an opportunity? Or why is that guy who I perceive being so fly, cool, and talking to me and listening to my dreams that some of my peers may not believe in? And just giving somebody the most valuable asset you have is your time. So just being able to just give a little bit of that and some words of wisdom, I think, can kind of sometimes propel someone towards the right direction. So
yeah,
being
it can.
self-aware of that is important.
You are you are saying some very important things, and I'm just excited to be able to watch whatever the next iteration of this is and see it all come to pass. I don't want to take too much of your time, so I'm going to uh I'm gonna segue us into our lightning round.
Okay.
But before I do that, before I do that, I just want to say I this is an episode that people are gonna need to rewind and interrogate these things and look at the people in your lives who have brought value to you, or people in your lives who seem to have that X factor already, or those people who know that you have. If you're listening to me or watching me, you already know something about yourself that implies that you're the X factor and you have the value to add to the environments that you go into. But rewind this, take notes, apply these, find the blueprint here that you can apply to your own life. As Mxkobi said earlier, find the blueprint here that you can apply to your own life day to day and really exaggerate the value that you can add to the environments that you're in, and kind of interrogate what is the reason why these valuable things have found me, these valuable relationships have found me. How can I make this reciprocal, and what does the quality of the thing I'm involved in, or the quality of the people who are involving themselves with me, what does that say about me and the quality of my identity? Really interrogate this stuff, because it's rare that I come across a person.
And I would like to add to that, to what you just said. In tech, we like to resolve issues by finding the five whys.
Mm,
So if you were to tell yourself, okay, well, I'll use myself as an example. By age 30, I always knew that I wanted a Rolex.
mm,
And then when I turned 30, I had to ask myself, well, I want this thing, but why?
mm.
And then I was like, not because it is a status symbol, but because it is
I
a
was just
time.
having this conversation.
I love time. I love watches. But then I was like, okay, but when I'm seen with this, what do I project? How do I come off? Am I coming off as the boastful guy who has your Rolex? Or am I trying to like make sure that the energy that I give off tell somebody that you can be in this position as well? Matter of fact, yo, let's link up. Let's do this together.
Mm,
And then I had to ask myself another why. I was like, okay, well, how do I create these environments for people to be able to do so? I was like, I have a brand, I can give back. I was like, okay, but why? Who are these people? I'm like like-minded people who want to also inspire. I couldn't I couldn't reprogram somebody who is based foundationally on being boastful. I can add value to somebody who's foundationally wanting to be good for their community, and I can come and help polish some of those things up, and we can do it together. And then I
mm,
had to ask myself another why. And then for the more whys you have and you can answer those, you start to view this material thing as just a tool to get to your
mm,
why and to complete your whys,
mm,
right? So you have a LA Rams shirt right now with a fly LA hat. okay, that's a cool fit, but you also know that the why of that helps you to maybe talk to somebody that looks like you, that
Mm,
dresses like you. And then, okay, but now that I have these things and I get to talk, why am I talking? Okay, now let me answer that why. So I think answering those five whys, as you were just mentioning, allows people to kind of go to the depth of certain things and not be surface level on their delivery, on their reasoning behind wanting to have certain things. Um, and yeah, I think that those sometimes help be the backbone um, of why you're doing something, even when you
mm-hmm.
don't feel like doing it, and the things are bigger than you.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's very well put. I think that the way we're very quick to interrogate other people and things and the reasons why other people are doing things and how things are. We're not as quick to interrogate ourselves. We're not as quick to ask why about us and do the digging for real. I think the most amount of whys most people will ask typically is one, where it'll be like, I want a cupcake, and it'll be like, why? Well, I got a sweet tooth.
Right.
Or are you an emotional eater and you're experiencing anxiety and depression, so you're turning towards sweets right now and you're not actually even hungry? Is that truly why? You would get to that if you ask just a couple more whys. Like
Exactly.
it gets deeper than we think it gets, and it'll be forever deeper than it is. So yeah, I think that's something that was very well said. But yeah, we gotta really get deep with our interrogation, and we gotta turn that interrogation on self. If we can really uproot our current traditional ways of being, right? Our what is it called? It's like our base level, our modes, our original modes of thinking. Let's interrogate that, right? Let's break it down and find out what serves us today and what just used to serve us in the past could be harmful. But if you break it down and you truly understand the reason why you've curated your life a certain way, you can manipulate it in a way that helps to express you and amplify your actual whys and serve the actual purpose of the things that you're really trying to do, like the Rolex, like the outfit or the necklace or the podcast or whatever the thing is. It's all the same. Once you get deep enough, it really is all the same. It's all tools that'll help you further serve your purpose. Period. And asking yourself why helps you to get deeper than surface level on a day to day and become more of your actual identity. That's when life really gets juicy and the value gets worth it. The
Right.
sacrifices make sense. Um,
Yes.
Solid, bro. That's very well said. So I'm gonna take us into. I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit. I'm gonna lighten it up a
Okay.
little bit. Um,
I'm ready.
I'm going to take us into what I call the lightning round. Now I'm gonna morph this. I'm doing different questions now. I'm gonna start to morph this a little bit different and start doing some other things at the end as well. But I have a somewhat of a basic one. But the first things that come to mind, I want you to answer with those. And every so often, I'll ask another specific question. Sometimes I'll ask why, ironically enough. But sometimes I'll be like, okay, which one or something like that. So I got about 6 or 7 of these questions. You let
Let's
me
go.
know when you're ready, and then I can start firing them off.
Boom. Let's go.
All right. Favorite TV show?
Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Favorite musical artist?
Kanye West.
Ooh, okay. Do you have a favorite fashion designer all time?
Mm. Me.
Ooh, you know what's funny? I was waiting, but I was like, eventually, I know you enough. I was like, he's gonna say it. He's gonna say it. I could dig that.
Me.
Top five, not five.
Right.
Um,
Right.
One embarrassing moment as a kid that you still remember.
Mm. Hmm. Oh yes, I got a really good one.
Give
So
it to
boom.
us.
So one, got this nice head of hair and all of that. But once upon a time, I was growing an afro, and my mom slid me. Back the good old days when a $20 bill could get it done at the
Yeah.
barber,
Yep.
right? It was easy peasy.
Yep.
Slid me a bill. She's like, "Go get a haircut." I was playing around with my friends, goofing her off. Didn't go to the barber. She came home. She was hot.
Bruh.
So,
How old were you?
man, I had to be like, I'll give you a range, somewhere
All right.
probably between like 11 and like 13 or so.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
those years where you're like, nah, I'm not doing what she asked me to do. I'm
Right.
gonna
Right.
just go do whatever and hang out with the homies.
Bruh.
Came back. We had a clipper at the house at the time, and it was one of those that was like freestyling like Twister, like that's how the clipper
You
sounded.
didn't cut your own hair.
No, she cut it.
Oh, ooh. Ah,
And so
bro,
the
I
wildest
felt
thing is
that in my
the
spirit.
wildest
Said it,
thing is that I remember her hitting the back and she goes, "Bzz," and I'm like, and she goes, well, I guess I'll just have to cut the rest. So she gave me a Michael Jordan fade at age
bruh.
20. Yeah. And I went to a Catholic school where we had to wear a uniform. So you can't really hide it with a beanie or
No
something.
hat,
No hat. So
no
my
hat.
best thing to do was to put on a Nike bandana, like just across, like the tennis
Oh
bandana,
man.
just, just to jazz it up.
Bro, that reminds me. I had when I was at Overland, actually, I was in summer school, and this was the first time I tried to line myself up, and I took it
Oh,
way too far back. Like on one side, I took it back, then on the other side, I took it back to try to make it match, and I just took it so far back, bro. But I still had hair, so I started throwing a do rag on it. Overland wouldn't let us wear hats, and the do rag, obviously, at the time, like they're like, that's a hat, bruh. They were like, if you wear this, it was like 3 days in a row. If you do this, you'll get kicked out. And I was on day like 2, and they were like, "Don't do this. It's not worth it. It's not worth it." They were like, the deans were telling me, like, "You going to get kicked out of summer school over this?" I said, "Bro, you don't understand,
and
you,
mind you, a bad lineup can
bro,
last up to 3 weeks. So,
bro." And that's if you know a barber is good enough to fix it when it's low like that, because it was bald. I pushed it all the way back, like,
oh,
oh, bro, it was terrible. So Devontae actually is the one who helped me fix it. So my hair
yo,
was hella
shout out to
low, but
Devontae.
day 3, I was like, oh, I had just enough hair, just enough for him to like make it look like I did it, fade it or oh, bro. He
Man,
basically
shout
had to
out,
make it so I didn't really have a lineup, but like I at least looked like I got it cut. Yeah, it was.
shout out
Oh,
to
bro.
Devontae, man. That's good people. That's
Shout out
love
to
right
Devontae. Yeah. Oh man. All right, all right. It's supposed to be lightning round. I got more questions.
there.
Waffles, French toast, or pancakes?
French toast.
My man. See, I knew you was a good brother who walked by faith and not by sight.
French
Bro,
toast.
French
Oh,
toast is superior,
yes, yes, it's elite. And I
bro.
also believe that French toast just requires a certain level of preparation in the making of it. You know what I mean? Like you gotta separate the egg yolk from the you gotta put the cinnamon with the
Attention to
and then
detail. Just
like yeah, bro. Like, come
if it
on,
needs
yeah.
syrup, you might not have done it right. You know what I'm
No.
saying? If you gotta have syrup for it to taste good, you might not have done it right. You know what I'm saying? And then what's second though? Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles. Pancakes are dead last.
Got you. See, same. The same for me. There's one place I like the pancakes from. They're not paying me, so I'm not gonna say their name, but they got some fire pancakes. But I still pick waffles, and then I still pick French toast on top. That's crazy. All right, all right. Water or juice?
Water. Water
I knew you was
class.
gonna say water too. Yeah, because you're
Water.
a man of fitness.
Yeah, I've grown an appreciation for water. Just because of all the benefits you get from it. You know, they say, oh, or I like to say, a gallon a day keeps the pimples away.
Bruh,
So
yeah. Ooh,
you
yeah.
gotta,
You can tell who's not drinking the water, man. It'll help clear it
yeah,
up.
man.
The water will help
And
clean everything up. And then you get older and you just realize like I can't just drink Gatorade. And
yo,
I personally I don't drink soda at all. So I'm just like I can't be drinking soda and Gatorades and stuff like that. Like I just got to a certain age where I'm like my body's gonna tell me in a very big way what I've been putting in it.
yeah. Water is life. Water is everything.
All right,
Can't
flats
do.
or drums?
Ooh. I have to say, depends on the situation and convenience. Now, if I'm really just trying to like bust through it mad quick,
All right.
damn, I'm even lying when I'm saying that.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Hmm.
You can't cap just because it's lightning.
Flats,
Flats?
flats,
All right, I gotta
flats.
ask why on this though. Why flats?
Flats, because there's a way to eat a flat that like I've recently discovered that has made me fall in love with flats again.
Yeah.
And also, I don't like my wings to be like jumbo size. Like you know how some places have like the
Yeah. And it's like a
it
leg. It's like a whole drum, like the big one.
grosses me out. So I
I'm like,
think I
how many
use
steroids? Like this ain't a wing. Like, it's a leg.
so I
How
think
big was
that
the chicken?
yeah, man. And then I think flats you can just you know what I mean. Just one bite, pull off, throw it away, next flat.
Yeah, I
Whereas
discovered a
the
way to eat
drum,
the flats too.
yeah, sometimes the drum you kind of have to like,
Yeah, you gotta go
come up.
around, then you gotta
Yeah,
get the top, you know what I'm saying? You gotta double
and
check.
here is game for you. If you like to eat your flats with like any kind of hot sauce that really burns, you're really trying to avoid the corner of the mouth.
Mm,
So, bah,
I see, I
done.
see. Hit it one
Done. Easy.
time, boom, and you okay,
Ah,
okay. Because at that point, it's
especially,
survival. It's like it's this is like this is
especially if you get you get them like well done, slightly crispy and stuff, tossed up on the
oh
side.
yeah. All right, all right,
Talk to me.
all right. I could dig that. And plus, it's easier for a flat to be cooked right because they don't have that big old bone right in the middle, so it makes it harder to hit. But like the flats, having a flat that's undercooked is rare. But it's
I was
always like a drum that's gonna
right.
be
I'll
undercooked.
look at a flat and then I'll be like, "You thought I was feeling you?"
Ah, you stupid, bro. That's funny. Yeah, I gotta go flats on that. It wasn't like that until I actually saw videos of these Russian dudes and they were breaking the bone down a certain way and I was like, that's crazy. So now I gotta go flats too. All
And
right.
if you know how to do it well, you can actually like pop the bones out of the flat, and then
That's how
now
I
you're just
do. I popped the little bone out and then whop, I just hit it one time. Whap, and I'm good and I'm straight. Yeah, I gotta pop that. See, I popped the little bone out first. You know what I'm saying? Pop the little bone out. Inspect. I'm not trying to leave nothing and toss it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not ungrateful. You know what I'm saying? Gotta inspect it and then I hit the other one. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But that literally changed the whole wing game for me. Like I'm on flats now, heavy. I was never on flats. Yeah. All right. Which superpower would you choose? Any.
ooh. To paint the picture, I'll probably have to go. Are you familiar with the X-Men?
Yeah, very familiar.
Okay, so um, hmm, either Wolverine,
Mm,
the ability to like just heal self,
mm.
or Mystique because she was a shapeshifter.
Mystique. I've never
And
heard
so
somebody say that one.
yeah, so I can pull up as Magneto. I can pull up
Mm,
as you know what I mean. I can pull up as Diablo. I can pull up as the Professor. I can
mm.
pull up Gambit. I could pull up as Jean Grey. Like the
Bruh,
list goes on and on. You know
we
what I
got to
mean?
put some
Like,
respect on Gambit's name real quick too. It's not
bro,
enough. He
bro,
don't get the respect he deserves.
words to my mother. Gambit
Bruh,
is one
Gambit
of the
was the
finest
one, dog.
X-Men.
It was
Bro,
Gambit and Wolverine. Those two, I feel like were just like superior.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
Beast,
Like Beast, yeah. And then in a cartoon, they had a homie that was like skating and stuff, and he had the spikes coming out and
yeah,
stuff.
the
Bro,
black one. And he used to be
yeah,
on a skateboard, bro. I don't remember his name, but that I used to want to be just like that fool.
he
He
had like
was so
the
fly on that
blonde,
skateboard.
the blonde fade.
Yeah.
Bro was
Yeah,
fire.
he
Bro
was
was
so
fire.
hard. I think at one point he had his hair long with like a fade on the sides and his yeah, bro, the spikes. Yeah, he was the one, bro. And I
So
used to
those,
really be a skater too, so he was definitely the one at one
yeah,
point.
those absolutely would be that. But yeah.
Dang. Yeah, the thing is if I could get Wolverine, but I could get Wolverine with the vibranium, joints and the bones and all that. If I could get that, I'd definitely easily go Wolverine. If not,
Okay.
then what was his name who used to teleport? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. The
Oh,
blue
you're
one.
talking about Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. I might go Nightcrawler. It depends. I might have to go Nightcrawler if I can't get Wolverine with the vibranium joints.
Kind of tough to having to hide the tail the whole time, but I feel you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna keep it 100. I don't want to be blue because I want to have the powers and not have everybody know I have the powers.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
But if I'm just walking around and it's like made obvious, I gotta worry about the government and all this and that. You know what I'm saying? And I gotta be dodging the feds. I'm like, I ain't trying to be on that all the time.
I said Mystique because I'm like, I can just, pull up at the mall looking like
Exact.
Fusion,
Ooh, that's a
pull
fact.
out
See,
looking like Drake.
that's a fact. The mystique starting to look more appealing as you know what I'm saying?
Right,
I could be
right.
anybody anywhere. I could dig that, bro. That
Could be another
concludes
Drake.
that concludes the lightning round.
So,
And I want to reiterate my thank you. I want to reiterate, that it was an honor to be able to have this conversation, and prayerfully many more in the future. That's what I mean. I'm just expecting many more conversations in general in the future, but I would like to be able to, in the future, even if it's a couple of years from now, do another show on a different size platform and be able to talk and look back at this conversation and this time. And my final question for you is, I'll say in about 3 years, what would you like to see from the studio? What would you like to see in happening in your career? 3 years.
In 3 years, I will be well established in the fashion space. In 3 years, I will have uh, built the true foundations of this village
Mm,
and what that may look like. In 3 years, I will have given back probably more than I can count back to my community in
mm,
different ways, shapes, and forms. In 3 years, I will be more mentally healthy to take on the journey of what else is left.
mm,
Um, I will be more equipped uh, to allow my heart to beat for others and to have better compassion and understanding. In 3 years, I will be in a better relationship with God and allow that to kind of just be the thing that helps navigates this vessel.
mm. I could dig that. I love all of that, and I believe in it. I believe in it. Now, um, the last thing is we haven't told the people any of this stuff yet. So where can people find you? Drop that date one more time and just let everybody know where they can connect with you and stay tapped into what you got going on.
Yeah, man, to stay locked in with the boy, Mxkobi. That's the Instagram. Most of my social media presence is on Instagram, and from there I kind of derive people to different places. So on that bio, you can find MDC Studio, and that's MDCSTXDIO on the IG. November 15th is the show. I will be announcing a bit more stuff as far as pop ups and other ways for us to gather. So, to all my tribe members, to all of those who want to join the tribe, please feel welcome to just give me a look at Denver Fashion Week. Come say hi. And if not, we'll connect a bit shorter after that, like a little bit after that, to wrap up the year with a few other beautiful faces and performances and things for the community. So, MXKOBI on the IG. Tap in. I'll say hi. Say hi back. Don't be weird.
Tap in, everybody, viewers and listeners, tap in with the guy. He gave you the date. Stay tuned on those details. Follow his Instagram to stay tapped in. He said that's his main platform. And y'all know how I like to finish this. Listen, I brought Mxkobi on here. We chopped it up. We poked and prodded at all the things that the people need to know. We formed a jewelry. Hopefully, you picked it up and put it on. He's been tried, and y'all know the vibe. It's all true. So, my brother, it was a pleasure to have this conversation. I'm gonna tap in with you when we done. And we out.